What's up, dudes? Max here. It's Thanksgiving! I'm not at home right now, but I wanted to put up a video that I find to be really relevant in a day like today, of being thankful for some of the games that are out there. I've been requested to make this video quite a few times over the past few years, and I've never properly gotten the opportunity, and today is the day, because today I am counting down my top 5 favorite games of all time. The number 5 spot goes to a game that has such a profound experience on me, it's hard for me to not put it in something like one of my favorite games of all time. Especially when it comes to online gaming, my first venture into playing games online was actually on the Dreamcast. Some of you already probably know where I'm going with this. It's Quake 3 Arena. No, sorry, it's PSO. It's totally PSO. Phantasy Star Online was one of the first huge multiplayer games on a console back in 2000. This stuff was mind-blowing. The fact that you can chat with each other, go out into the world, do all this stuff, and it just worked. Outside of some minor networking issues, my experience with Phantasy Star Online was so profound that it still affects me to this day. I still get crazy urges to jump back into PSO, go through the forest, make my way all the way to the ruins, and eventually beat Dark Falls. There's so much about this game that I absolutely love. This is the part of Sega that makes me a huge fan. Believe it or not, I am a huge classic Sega fan, die hard to its core back in the 90s, and PSO is just so much of that. I love this game. Any chance I get to play it with a whole bunch of people is just the most damn fun, and it still is fun to this day, although it's pretty much Diablo with space characters and things like that. The music, the gameplay, everything of PSO came together so well back in the day that I'm gonna put an online gaming experience, my first online gaming experience, which was Phantasy Star Online, as my number 5 game of all time. Number 4 goes to another one that is pretty profound, and I would not be surprised also makes it to at least several people's top 5s, if not top 3s. Doesn't quite make it to the top 3 in my opinion, but damn, is it really close. Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation. Can you remember the first time you fired up Metal Gear? It was absolute magic. In the days of the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2, games were trying their hardest to be like movies. Every game wanted to have that cinematic feel in some way. But the first one to ever do it well was Metal Gear. There are aspects of the game that I don't think have aged incredibly well, but man, when you go back to the very first Metal Gear, you have the original music, the stuff that wasn't eventually removed from future versions, and you're just rolling through, fighting bosses, going throughout everything. The atmosphere in this game is top-notch. Messing with guards, going from one place to the next, it just is goddamn glorious. Metal Gear's impact on the industry is so profound that it's impossible to deny, and its impact on anyone that grew up with gaming around the PlayStation era. I was around a teenager when this stuff happened, and Metal Gear's launch was huge. I think people have pretty big memories of playing that demo as well. I played that thing for like a week straight, trying to find all the most ridiculous stuff just around the helipad area. There was nothing like Metal Gear, especially the fact that its world was not a cinematic CG render. It was all fully 3D that you could explore. That was a big deal. And the fact that it introduced so many things between stealth mechanic gameplay, between character storytelling and voice acting that had never been done like it before. Don't get me started. The original Metal Gear Solid is my number 4 game of all time. Now, the number 3 spot is going to go to a game that many of you are probably expecting and will most likely agree with. And if you don't agree with it, you got a problem. Resident Evil 4 is my number 3 best game of all time. So you know when you're going through a game and you don't even realize how much time is going by? You don't even realize this journey that you've taken with your character throughout this ridiculous experience that is spanned between different areas and mansions and islands and castles. And then suddenly it's over and you want to play it all over again? Resident Evil 4 is the first time I really felt that. Immediately as it was done, I wanted to go back in, find more stuff, get new guns, kill more zombies. It was absolute gaming bliss. Not to mention, it took the formula of Resident Evil and flipped it on its head and created something all new. The third-person shooter genre was revolutionized by Resident Evil 4, as so many games did such similar things before it. Third-person shooting was not absolutely new by this time by any means, but this over-the-shoulder style would be emulated from game to game to game all the way through the Resident Evil series up until 6, and through so many games that we even see now. The QuickTime events, as annoying as so many games make them out to be, are still utilized in a way that I really enjoy, even back when it was one of the first games to start heavily using QuickTime events. Leon Kennedy is obviously the best protagonist ever, and this version of Leon is arguably also the best version of Leon. The scenario, the situations, the comedy, everything about Resident Evil 4 I love. I love that this game doesn't take itself seriously. I loved how refined the mechanics are, how unique the weapons are, how all the zombies and locations all have this insane variety to it. It feels like a ton of heart and soul was put into this game. I've played it so many times, and I can't tell you how much fun it still is to this day. Resident Evil 4, oh, it's so goddamn good.
Just because you killed my small-time subordinate.
Sadler, you're small-time.
Yeah, he said it! He said the thing! Got it! You're small time.
Getting to the nitty-gritty, my number 2 game of all time goes to something that happened in just the past couple of years. You might be noticing a trend. A lot of games on this list are heavily impacted by my teenage years and my childhood, because those moments of your life have pretty damn profound impact on you. Whether or not it's a new experience that just stays with you throughout the rest of your childhood and your adulthood, games are a huge part of that, but this one is not. This one, I was a grown-ass man, jaded by DLC and loot boxes and crazy bullshit. But still, amidst all of that, there was a game that happened in 2015 that still blows my mind to this day. Every single time I've played it through multiple playthroughs, through hundreds of hours of time committed, I am still flabbergasted by how much fun the gameplay is and how captivating the world is. My second favorite game of all time is Bloodborne. To start this off, my first playthrough of Bloodborne absolutely was not my favorite game of all time kind of experience. I kind of just went through it like every player normally would, fought the bosses, got to the end, saw some weird things happening, some funky thing came out of the sky, and then you turn into a squid baby monster. It was very weird. I didn't know what to really think of it, and I didn't really start appreciating it until my second playthrough, when you can start connecting the dots and the sequence of events that happens within the story, and how well utilized it is in its world. Bloodborne's world is perhaps the most well-executed piece of atmosphere in a video game I have ever seen. So much about it makes it feel like it's real. The way the villagers scream at each other, the way they scream at you, calling you a filthy beast, even though that's exactly what they are. So much of Bloodborne's world and the way the gameplay is executed in it is just a friggin' masterpiece. I've already made several videos kind of gushing about Bloodborne and how much I love this game, but not even until recently, when I did a lore playthrough that was trying to get every single item in the game, kill every single enemy, kill every single boss, read every single piece of text, was the moment that I realized that I think this is one of my favorite games of all time. And it still is solidified. Bloodborne is up there, man. So much of this game and its bizarre eldritch truth that you try to contemplate with your small human brain still racks my mind every single time I play it and just leaves me with questions seeking answers, and that's the whole point of it. The answers are out there, but are you evolved enough to understand? God, I love this game! So here we go, number 1. And in a time like Thanksgiving, it's good to appreciate the stuff that you love so much so you can sort of relate to other people, because there's a good chance that someone out there might love the exact same things you are. It's a huge part of this channel, just the fact that we like stuff and we're able to express that with each other. Which is why I'm able to announce that my number 1 game of all time is not a fighting game, it's not an action game, it's not anything like any of the other games that were in this top 5 list of all games of all time. It's Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, that's gonna come as a surprise to many people because I announce it every once in a while, and I've made a few videos talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, but FF7 was one of the first and most profound games that is still stuck with me to this day. Its world, its characters, the gameplay, the materia system, everything about FF7 I absolutely love. The fact that the remake is out there, somewhere, makes me happy, but just knowing the fact that it exists and I'm wanting more information is frustrating to think about, so I try not to think about it. But we're gonna get something for FF7 in the future. It's bound to happen. That game is gonna be so big for Square that it's absolutely ridiculous, and I just hope it's a fraction as good as what I remember FF7 to be. because even upon playing that game over the past couple years, once again, I am reminded how good Final Fantasy VII is. I'm reminded how fun the combat system was. I'm reminded how great the character interactions were. The evolution of a character, the way they change throughout a game, and overall caring about those characters was something that I had never done before in a video game when I first played it back in 1997. That shit will stick with you, no matter what. Like the first game that you played that has a proper story where you get attached to those characters, it's guaranteed that that's going to be one of your probable favorite games of all time. And growing up, Final Fantasy VII was my first RPG-style game, so its story and everything sucked me in so much, because before that, I liked action-y stuff and fighting games. RPGs and Dungeons and Dragons, that shit was for nerds! Holy shit was I wrong, because Final Fantasy VII took everything about the basic RPG experience, threw it into the future, made it awesome, and made it crazy steampunkish while at the same time being technology-based. All this crazy stuff about the life in the planet and aliens from the sky and dudes with long hair that want to kill everything. Man, I love Final Fantasy VII. It still to this day has a huge resonating impact on me. I love its roster of characters, and I just want to see them in more things. I just want to see those characters talking to each other. Like, it's similar to movies where you just want to see your favorite superheroes just chattering with each other, and that's just a big part of Final Fantasy VII Remake that I want. But I'm finding myself talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake and getting upset, so we should probably stop here. FF7 is my #1 game of all time. So there you go, my top 5 games of all time. Let me know in the comments below what your specific top 5 is, and try to narrow it to a top 5, because I've been contemplating this one for a while streaming, as people were asking me what my favorite top 5 games of all time were. And I really had to start taking it away from like a top 10 situation, because there's so many in a top 10 that make it really hard to pick, and then you have to make it even harder to pick between a top 5. Woof, man. It's difficult to leave some out because so many other games are so damn amazing. But at the same time, I'm really confident with this list, and I'm curious to see how much it's going to change in the future. As always, dudes, thank you a ton for watching. I'll be back with more fighting game updates, videos, and gameplay as soon as possible. My name is Max. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.